I'm Karen Collins, and I'm here today with Dr. Elizabeth Jeffery from the University of Illinois. She's well known for doing research on compounds in foods that are important to our health and what happens that makes them more or less available.
The other really interesting thing about broccoli is that broccoli and garlic both accumulate selenium. Now, you know, there's been a lot in the press over now many years about the fact that selenium might help with prostate cancer, and we still don't know the answer. Broccoli and garlic both accumulate selenium. They pull it out of the soil, and so eating broccoli you can get very definitely sufficient selenium for your normal needs.
Lots of good reasons to enjoy that.
Absolutely.
You were talking about, both in your lecture and just now, about the effects of cooking and so forth on the compounds in broccoli. Mm-hmm. People know the cruciferous vegetable family includes a lot more other vegetables. Are these same concerns about the compounds and how they develop and what happens with cooking or serving them raw the same, or are they different for those different vegetables that have somewhat different isothiocyanates?
Mm-hmm. So many of the isothiocyanates in the different vegetables have the same kind of properties, will protect against a number of different cancers, and they usually say 3 to 5 servings a week will do this. Personally, I really like Brussels sprouts. I know there are a lot of people that don't, and I also know that one of the lovely ways to eat them is roasting, and we haven't looked at the effect of roasting yet, so
if you need to look at that, please.
we do, because it's really tasty. But in the meantime, since we don't know whether the enzyme's surviving roasting or not, we can still roast our Brussels sprouts, or you can actually even roast a medley of broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower. That's just excellent altogether. And then you put cheese on top. And then eat a raw brassica, cruciferous vegetable, as a source of the enzyme, just in case you killed it off. And so you could eat a little cabbage slaw, or you could have like half a teaspoon of mustard on the side. Or last night I had sushi for dinner, and so I had wasabi. Wasabi is a very rich source of this enzyme. And so if you're concerned that you might have overcooked, just have, it doesn't have to be very much, just a small serving of a second crucifer that is raw, and then you know you'll get the enzyme from that.
Now, normally when we talk about other crucifers, we're talking about things like cauliflower and kale and watercress and so on. The mustard family, if you actually used mustard as a condiment, is that the same thing, or is that different than, mustard,
Yes.
As mustard greens as a vegetable?
Oh, mustard greens are wonderful. But I was actually thinking about mustard, the condiment. I have never looked to see what is actually in what we call American mustard. Mm-hmm. I know it has a lot of turmeric, because that's what stains your clothes when you drips on it. And turmeric is good for you, but it's not what we're talking about.
Right.
And so I don't know, to me, American mustard doesn't have much of a bite. And really what you need is a mustard that's got a little bit of a bite, because that bite is an isothiocyanate.
Okay. So like the brown kind of stone ground mustard.
That would be great, yes.
And that would have enough, using that as a condiment. We're not talking about eating half a jar or something. You're just talking about a condiment.
As a condiment. And
we have enough to activate, to provide the myrosinase, this enzyme.
That's right. And
that's amazing.
Some people, particularly I think Europeans, certainly as I was growing up, we would buy a mustard, dry yellow mustard, and mix it with water before dinner. On Sundays we'd sometimes have roast beef, and we really liked the mustard with the roast beef. And Mother would always make it like 5 minutes or so before we sat down, because it takes a little while for the myrosinase to get to the material and make that.
But she didn't know
Hot
that,
flavor.
did she? I mean,
She knew it took a while to get a hot flavor. She didn't.
Oh, okay.
She
I was
didn't
gonna
know
say,
any of
that's
the
amazing.
chemistry.
Yeah, okay,
No,
okay.
no.
But she knew from a flavor perspective.
That's right.
Interesting, and that's the guide.
Yes.